So today I have a social worker from West Virginia joining me. His name's Dylan. I've known him for a number of years, and he's done some really amazing work with a bunch of young, I believe under the age of 15 children that have some mental issues, have difficulties with social problems, and he's had the ability to talk to these individuals and give them some direction in life, some way to come to terms with their difficult situations and perhaps their trajectory. And I think the intersection between social work and dental health is one that's not been explored very much. So I figured I invite him for a call and we could talk about some of these things. How would you describe your profession? What would you describe yourself as doing?
Well, I would describe the work that I do as I provide intensive community-based services as a diversion for at-risk youth so they don't end up in either foster homes, shelters for children, or in formal juvenile residential facilities or psychiatric hospitalization facilities, things like my job is to make sure they stay at home with their family and their community.
So they don't get disconnected from that essential source of like feeling like they belong somewhere, essentially.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And so this is something that obviously comes with a lot of experience. It comes with a lot of patience. So what is it about your soul, I suppose, that made you gravitate towards something that's so deeply difficult and hard to keep up consistently?
Well, I think my answer for that is similar to a lot of the people that are in my profession and do what I do. It's like there's an inborn just kind of empathy, and there's a genuine desire to try to help these people. And there's also another component of what draws us to do this kind of work. A lot of times we have ourselves experienced adversity as children or as young adults, and we want to take that, turn that around, and try to help somebody else that we didn't have the help with.
Yeah, so it kind of comes from I have this philosophy that the people that perhaps lacked some love in bringing up are the ones that are looking for that love the most out of the world, and often tend to be the ones that hopefully can help by virtue of looking for that love all the time.
Yeah, true. And I would agree with that. And I mean, me personally, I had a very normal childhood, no real adverse experiences, but a lot of my coworkers really had a tough time as kids. Hell, the majority of them, I would say.
And do you find that this allows them like their ability to self-soothe that they've established over the years allows them to be better providers for these kids? Or what do you think it is that
Um,
makes someone especially skilled at being able to connect deeply?
it's a combination of just that inborn empathetic, intuitive personality and extensive training. Like we are trained very thoroughly throughout our careers about different interview techniques that we can do with kids, different ways to elicit responses, different ways to structure situations where you'll be able to get an honest answer out of a kid, whereas right before they didn't want to say shit.
Fair enough. So that extensive training, that systematization of training the providers is an essential component of making sure that both the provider is kind of protected emotionally to a degree, and also that the child is getting the vulnerability that they need.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So tell me a little bit about where you work. Like what is the company called? Like what's going on there?
Okay, I am not allowed to say the name of my company, but I can
Okay.
describe
Yeah.
I can describe what we do. Like we have part of the wing of what our agency does. We are a for-profit agency. That's something worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
What I do and what some of my coworkers do is those intensive in-home community services that we provide. We also have a foster care wing where we have foster children in our care. We certify foster parents that we find across the state, and we have foster care case managers that write their treatment plans, go out and meet with their fosters, all that good stuff. And we also, at least here in the state of West Virginia, we have a group home that's 6 beds for boys ages 12 to 18 that have both a dual diagnosis of intellectual and developmental disability and some kind of psychiatric issue.
Wow.
So those are the three main areas of focus for us.
Wow. And how long do you follow each kid?
within my program, it's designed to be a 9-month program. That being said, I have had kids on my caseload for 3 years, 2 years. I've got one now. We just hit the 1.5 year mark, I think, since I first met this individual. So it really depends, like kid for kid. But a lot of the time, you're working with them for well over a year.
Gotcha. So okay, and so walk me through kind of when you first meet a kid, right? Brand new out of the gate, right? Like
Mhm.
what is a good strategy for kind of approaching a new personality, a new situation? Like what is something that every provider, in your opinion, should know about other human beings to a degree?
Well, here's the thing about meeting a new family and the way you have to approach them, because that's also a cultural thing with West Virginians. That, like, I'm not from around here. I grew up in the Northeast, but around here you keep a lot of this mental stuff behind closed doors, and you as a provider are a lot of the times your families are just going to see you if you don't do it right. When you meet them, they're going to see you as another worker from the from the Department of Human Services that's just there to get them in trouble, take away their kid. And a few things every provider should know about this first visit: dress casually. The way I'm dressed now, I would dress like this to work and did today.
Mm-hmm.
Dress casually, speak in the family's vernacular. Like, if you have a family that swears a lot as part of just the way they talk, you roll with that a little bit.
Hmm.
You really try to, that's the biggest thing too, because we're all college educated. There are sometimes we're going back, they call them hollers here, but it's really just back a single lane dirt road with a couple of houses, and usually all family. So you got to speak on their level. I would be not using the word vernacular
Mm-hmm.
with some of my families, and that's not an insult. That's just me coming off like I'm a pretentious dick.
Right.
And that's one of the things too. You have to really make yourself human during that first visit. And one thing I always like to do is, like, I have a phobia of dogs. So I will always, in my initial phone call with the family, I will ask if they have dogs, and I will plainly say, hey, I got a phobia. I got bit as a child. Like, that's one thing I use to connect. But a lot of the times situations roll up organically. Like, for instance, today I made first contact with the family.
Hmm.
Just so happened, my kid, I learned from the adoptive parent that my kid liked to play darts. Just so happens I like to play darts. So me and that adoptive parent, we clicked immediately, like right over that.
Hmm.
And it's really just about humanizing yourself to these people. And I tell them straight up, my families, when I go in there, look, I'm not the department. I don't work for the court. I don't work for probation. I am not the police. I am not here to take away your kid. I am here to be an advocate for you and your family. Like, and once you break down that barrier of, oh, okay, this is a guy. He talks normal. He's dressed in track pants and a flannel. Like, that goes a long way during that first visit to getting these families to start to just be themselves a little more. But it does take a while to get them to fully open up.
So
It
so
does.
there's that level of consistency, right? And I love I
Mhm.
love the way that you put it. You have to humanize yourself. I want to draw a small parallel between dentistry and the social work.
Sure, sure.
It's dude, you're so right. At the end of the day, like if I go to my patients and I'm immediately like, oh, this denture is going to cost you this thousand amount of dollars, I would suggest this treatment plan, whatever, and I don't go in first saying, hey, my name's Tarab, not Dr. So and so, my name's Tarab, right? I am here to help you. I want to make sure that you're healthy, right? If I don't go in and say that, then a lot of people get turned off. They tend to, and it might, like, in the dentist is one thing, right? People are coming to you out of I suppose pain, out of necessity to a degree, right? Whereas here,
Mhm.
I
I
I'm
agree.
I'm assuming it's more of a choice that these families are kind of, is that true?
It depends family for family, but honestly, it is rare. It's more rare for us to have families that come to us wanting services.
Mm.
It's the Department of Health, or it's the Department of Human Services, or it's a judge that orders us into the home. That's the majority of how we get our they usually serve. But that being said, there are some families that will, of their own volition, walk down to the department and say, look, I cannot handle my kid. I need help. And where they make the referrals and we come in. But that does
By and
happen, but
far. Yeah.
I wouldn't say few and far between, but I would say definitely not close to the majority.
But tell me, like, in your field, in your office, what is it that helps people come to terms with this baggage?
Well, the what you refer to as baggage, we always refer to, like, our term for it is vicarious trauma. Like,
Vicarious trauma. Okay.
vicarious trauma, we're taking on the trauma of the kids that we're working with, and really everybody has their own way of dealing with it. Like my boss, he'll say all the time, because I know my coworkers got my back. Like if I have a really shitty home visit at 11 o'clock that morning, and I've just had a teenage girl cry to me for 2 hours, and I know I'm not, and I have a meeting that afternoon that I know I'm not going to be fully there for. I know I go to my supervisor and be like, "Look, man, I'm not here today. Can you please cover this for me?" And every time it'll be, "Yeah, Dylan, I got you."
Yeah.
So that's how I can't speak enough about how important that part of it is too.
The
That
culture of the
environment.
office. Yeah.
Yes.
So and it
And
comes with the expectation that you got them when they need
mhm.
you, right?
Hmm.
100%.
Every time. If somebody asks you to cover, you always make your best effort to do it for them, because you know damn well they'll do it for you if you ask.
I got a hair transplant
You
in
do.
Turkey, right? And mind you, they wake you up at
Okay.
like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then they stick you in the back of the head like 500 times with a needle. It fucking sucks. Okay. The one day I had good staff. Good staff. They were making jokes. They were playing music. There was this air of freedom and kind of just like, yeah, we're all in this together, so be it. The other day, this guy was just like bearing down on my back with like the full might of his muscle body, and there was no jokes, complete silence. And dude, I'm telling you, just by virtue of them laughing, it made my entire experience way more manageable.
Hmm.
And that I think is like, if you're gonna be a doctor, if you're gonna be a social worker, anyone that provides service, please include some humor. Like take
Oh
culture
yeah.
into account. It makes a drastic difference, and actually probably
Yeah.
improves the
Oh yeah.
outcomes too.